Hello, welcome to Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft. This is Richard and I am at my craft table and I'm fiddling around with some paper here and I'm making little notebooks. So let me readjust the camera and I'll show you what I'm doing. Alright, so you can cut the paper any specific size you want, but here's the paper I have. So cut it to size, and I'm using cardstock. This happens to be black. Cut that as well. That'll be your cover. Now, I don't have staples, but I do have these paper fasteners. I think they're called brads. But anyway, I'm using those. And there we go. So this is what they are. These little things right here. So what I do is I drilled a hole in the paper that I was using. I actually used a Dremel. Drilled all of the holes at the same time. And then you stick your brads through there, and you can generally see they open up and you fold both directions, but since my paper's not big enough, so I put two of those in there. Then you fold them in half like such, and that'll bind all the papers together. And then what I do is I take this tacky glue and I glue the cardstock to the back of this piece of paper, the first one, as you can see here, and then it gets glued on there, and then you got your notebook. And very simple, very easy. I think this one here is, I don't know, almost 50 pages. Plenty for a nice little sturdy, just keeping track of whatever. Fits in my back pocket. It's very nice. It's decent looking. I'm making several of them. There's one that I've just glued. Right here I got these where I'm getting the crease in them, and then I'll go ahead and glue these together. And like I said, when I get done, I'll have a nice little notebook, and I can use it randomly, or I can keep specific items in specific notebooks and gather them together with a rubber band. If I wanted to, I could have 3 or 4 of them put together like such, keep them together, toss them in a pile somewhere, and then I can keep subjects separately in each individual. So again, there you go. Okay, so let's first take a drink. Blood Orange Brisk. This is really good stuff. By the way, they're not paying me to say that, although I wish they did. Alright, so taking one of the cardstocks that I've cut. Now I've already cut everything, so you're not really going to see that, but I just used this little cutter here. Cut that. Then on the pages, I've already cut the pages. I've already drilled the pages and got the brads in there, so you don't really get to see that either, but simple. Just drill the holes, and like I said, I don't have any staples. So then we take our glue, and I am going to glue the cardstock, and I'm going to make sure I get a nice little line of glue on the edges, very close on all the edges here. So I start out by doing that. Nice There we go. So once I get that done, I just do like little circles. So I make sure I get a decent amount of glue on the whole thing. Just like so. Now, there we go. Now to be really sure that I've got glue, I go to the back and I go at the crease and where the brads are at, and I go ahead and glue the crease and put some glue around those brads. Get the glue back up, make sure it stays. So I put a little bit of glue along the spine and those brads. And then I just basically lay it down and I line it up. Bingo bango, just like that. And then we're going to take it over here and we're going to press it. And here's my paper press. It's a couple heavy items. It's I don't know, it's anatomy flashcards and the handbook for signs and symptoms. Next door neighbor was throwing those away and I just kind of right there. So anyway, there, move that one. I lay them down and then I just put those on there so they can get some pressure. Bingo bango. So we'll go ahead and take this one and go back over and start working on it. Alright, so now let's go to the last page on each side. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and fold these in. Get a nice little fold and make sure that I rub in the glue, make sure that it's nice and, yeah, that's good. Go ahead and make sure you get a nice little bend there, a bend here, bend that. Now I got to watch out for these brads because I don't want them poking through, because they do right here and right here. A little, there you can kind of see the indentation. Got to be careful of those because I don't want them poking through. And there we go. Now we're going to have to get this paper cutter back out and see how the edges are kind of over here. I'm just simply going to lay down my book or booklet. I'm going to set it so that it's just on the black area, the cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that so that I cut away. Now remove that section that's been cut. Lay that back down. And I cut again. Bingo bango. There. And then when I'm done, it's pretty straight. Little piece of fuzz there. There we go. So there we go. Now we have our booklet. And there's two of them. And I have one over there. So I have these two here that I've just made. I got one over there pressing. And I have two more. And that's all I've made so far. Now, I also cut pages this size. And then of course once they get in half, it'll be like this. I have not, did I cut? No. I haven't cut any cardstock for these yet. I don't know if I'm going to do that right now, but I wanted to make sure that I went ahead and showed you guys this nice little small little notebook that I made. I love little things like this. Now I can use lined paper, I can use a combination of lined paper or graph paper. There's just endless amounts of things that I can do. I can make them any size I want. This is a very simple and easy way to make common use notebooks. Alright, so I'm goofing around with trying to figure out how to make a little case. I've got the 5 books that I've made, and I've got 3 rubber bands around it. Right like this. Now, I have a sheet of this cardstock, and I've been kind of goofing around with it, and I'm almost there. So what I did was I placed the booklets in here, and then I rolled it up and folded it, and then folded it over top like this. And then the bottom part I was trying to figure out, and I ended up folding it up like so, and ended up cutting right next to where the books are at. So I got this little bottom part that folds around it, and then these will fold up, and I can glue these down like that. And so far that seems to be working pretty decently. So I'm gonna glue those, and I'm gonna kind of have to do the same thing with the top, but I'm gonna have to fiddle around with it until I can figure it out. But so far this is what I've got. So I cut this one and this one like that. So we'll get these glued on, and then we'll fiddle around until I can get the top made. It's not looking too bad. I'm gluing it there. The bottom's glued. Now, let's see here. So I glued here and here, and then I just cut down so that it evened up with that there, and then the bottom is glued. So they're gonna sit like that. That's gonna be pretty cool. And then I'm gonna have to figure out how to cut these so that this can fold over and make kind of a, yeah, some kind of folding lid or something. So I'm going to work on that as soon as this gets dried, and I'll get right back with you. Alright, so I think what I need to do is cut from across here, and then the side, and then up this far back side, and remove this section on both sides, and then this can fold over. I think that's what I need to do. So let's see here. Just like that, and then we cut that off there, and that, and then we okay, that's still looking pretty good. Oh yeah, and then that folds over, and then that folds over just like that. Oh, good. Whew. I was concerned that my visualization in my head wasn't going to work right. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't go all the way down. Let's see here. I guess I could glue that here, Let's see, first of all, let's bend this. Let's get this bent. Alright, so that bends and that bends. That's pretty decent, just like that. Oh, yes. Makes a nice little case. Fantastic. And again, this isn't quite big enough to go all the way to the bottom. So what I could do, okay, yeah, I guess that might work. Alright, one thing I'm going to do is glue these two pieces that I cut off. I'm going to glue those together. Yeah, alright, so those are going to get glued together, so let me do that. Let's see here. We'll glue those together real quick. A little small thin layer of glue. Go ahead and put those together like such. Trim the edges so that they're even. Like that. Alrighty. Nice and even. And then this fold, which is already there, will go on the bottom. And then there'll be enough of glue here on the other fold. Such, and that should, yes, work perfectly for that. So let's fold those together and glue those down. And once that dries, I'll get back with you. Okay, so that didn't do too bad. Once I trimmed the sides up a little bit, got these glued on. Once this bends over, and then the very end bends back underneath so that the weight of it actually holds it together. And then we have a nice little case for the 5 books. There we go. Bingo bango. So they fit in there nicely. then this case closes up around it. And there it is. Very nice. I like it. I might have to make some more of those. Okay, so I do have to say I was a little bit nervous about doing this because I didn't have any I didn't have any pattern, and I just kind of winged it the whole way through. I just went by what looked like it would work, and I was lucky, and it worked really, really well. So, and this, as a matter of fact, can turn into a pouch for anything. But this right here is going to end up being for my little booklets. So I have these 5 booklets, which right now I have rubber bands around. Which now that I have my case, I can take the booklets off, the rubber bands off the booklets. So, all right. So I got my 5 homemade notebooks, and I just winged, like I do everything else really, making this. And this, I like this little case. This is a nice little case. It really works well. So one of the reasons I filmed it was because I want to be able to do it again. I'm not 100% sure whether I would remember how to do it again, so I wanted to make sure that I filmed it. But this makes a really nice notebook case, and when I get really creative, I actually might make one of these out of leather, or even maybe some tin or aluminum or something like that. But anyway, take my 5 notebooks, stick them in my case. They sit just like that, so now they're nice and organized. And then the case folds in and over on itself, so that now they all fit really nice. And when I set it down, the bottom part will actually hold it together. Now, as far as it goes right now, I'm going to go ahead and put a couple rubber bands on it just to keep it together at this point. But there we go. So now I have my 5 notebooks, and I made a little case for them. Super excited about this. This is freaking cool. So one more thing. So I was goofing around with the box with the rubber bands on it, and it's the rubber bands that gave me an idea. But anyway, so here are my little notebooks that I created. Now, I'll be honest, I thought I was being pretty super creative with this. I really, this is cool. I didn't have any staples, so like I said, I decided to use these little bendy things in the middle, and then glue the pages on there. And you saw me how I made these. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I thought I was pretty creative with that. Then I made this little container box for him, which is also really freaking cool. But anyway, I was goofing around with the rubber bands, and then it just hit me. I mean, just out of the blue, like boom. So even simpler. Get this. This is fantastic. So I have my cardstock. Let me adjust this a little bit. All right, hopefully you can see that. So I got my cardstock, and I have my 13 pieces of paper. All I'm going to do is just fold this together. Just like so. Now, simple rubber band. Right in the center. And bingo bango. That's it. it's together now. Let's go through each page here. Give it a little bit of a bend. Yeah, a couple every other page, every page, whatever. There we go. Just like that. Boom. Let's go on this side. Fold these in. There we go. And that's it. It's bound. All I use is one simple little rubber band. Now, see, all the pages are together. How simple can you get? I don't think I've ever seen this. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I've never seen this binding method before. Now, I'm not saying I just myself am the very first person who's ever done this. I'm sure I'm not. I've never seen anybody do it, and it's freaking simple. I mean, the simplest way you can possibly bind a book is just bend them in half and put a rubber band in there, and it's there. You know, look, I mean, the pages don't come out. Now, if you want to, for some reason, if you want to pull out a page, you can pull a page out, remove the rubber band, and pull a page out. But this is the simplest, most easiest binding that you could probably ever come up with, and it's amazing to me. I don't know why I never thought of this before. And again, like I said, I've never seen anybody do it like this. I'm sure that there has been, but no glue, no holes in the paper, nothing like that. No process to bind everything together and stack it or sew it or anything like that. Just fold your paper in whatever size you want, fold it in half, freaking put a rubber band in between it, and bingo bango, there you go.